want your kids to just be happy and just to like really just enjoy themselves and not be so caught up with like other things that they have to do or learn and all that. Like almost like you were just organically taking them from incubation on through, like without any, almost like a science experiment. Like I incubated them, I'm gonna birth them, and I'm gonna see what happens. That's kind of what the feeling was that I kind of got from that conversation. Like they came here like programmed already, you know, and let me see what I could do to not mess it up.
You're listening to the Lifelong Learning Podcast with your hosts, Mama Kaiya and Mama Nika, from the Tribe Learning Co-op, an evolving village that supports families and finding their tribe through sharing resources and responsibilities. Journey with us as we explore what and how we learn with each other, our children, and ourselves. We and our guests will contribute to conversations around wellness through self-directed learning, parenting, sustainability, and community. If you've landed here, it's not a coincidence. What you're seeking is always seeking you too. We are so grateful for your presence energizing the tribe. Peace and welcome.
Hey y'all, this is Mama Kaiya from the Tribe Learning Co-op, and I'm here with
Mama Nika. Peace, y'all.
And Mama Jessica. Hey, y'all.
Yeah, so we're just coming to you guys. We're trying something new. Trying to see what this podcast life is about. All right, so what's been going on? Check-in time.
Check-in time. Oh, lots has been swirling for me. So I'm finally getting, this is Mama Nika, by the way. I'm finally getting off of that relaxed summer vibe that I was on of road tripping and just being in a state of rest. And I'm like revving up a little bit. So I've really just been focused on learning better ways to care for myself. And I know y'all probably like, haven't you been doing that? But emphasis on better, because I think that as I'm starting to get more opportunities come my way, I'm realizing that I could fill my schedule up, but I don't want to fill it up so much that I'm not carving out space for me to intentionally take rest, intentionally care for myself, make space for my family, make space for my plants, and all the things that actually make me feel good. So I'm really learning the art of balance right now of how do I take rest and take care of myself and the people who depend on me, while also allowing all of this goodness, this juicy abundance that's coming into my orbit, allowing that to like swirl around and really saturate my life. And so I guess more specifically, some things that I've been up to has been working. Doula life is always happening. I have a few birthing folks on the horizon who are to have their babies this fall. And I've also started working with a local organization to train the staff, because they are allowing for their clients to secure doula support. So I'll also be their doula, which is dope and awesome. And I'll say it's a stretch because I'm really moving out of that place of like not enoughness, and recognizing that, you know, I am more than enough actually. And I think like there's this place of humility that I used to operate in. Well, I called it humility because I was like, I think just afraid to take up space. I was afraid to be as big as I could be. And so I'm just feeling myself stretch a little bit more. So I've invested in myself, invested in my business, and I'm just being in practice with taking up more space and being like, yeah, like I was sought out for this dope opportunity because I was me. And that's awesome. And I think maybe 4 months ago even, I probably would have shrank with that opportunity and like been like, I know somebody else who could do this. Somebody who, you know, already has this experience, or somebody that I look up to. But instead, I was like, you looking for the right person, because I could do this. And so that's been a stretch, because it's uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable for me. But I've been embracing it, because I'm like, how can I be truly like who I want to be in my community and in my tribe if I'm not being like bold about what it is that I'm doing, if I'm just, I don't know, being shy, or not giving myself the space that I deserve, and more importantly, that the people who need me or are looking for me are deserving. So I'm having to do a lot of like mental rearranging, and I think that's also a part of caring for myself, of like, you know, erase those patterns of not enoughness. Get out of that place of like disguising your insecurity as humility. That's not humility. That's fear.
Right.
And so yeah, I'm stretching. I'm stretching, and I'm taking care of myself more, and it feels good.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to be here with y'all.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you. I think that that's a really, really good opportunity. I'm just like ready to like push you forward, you know, on the fire. Like, come on, what's next? I know you gotta get these programs
going. I got 2 fires up in here. Please boil me.
Yes. For sure.
It's not like a Monday through Friday type of thing, is it?
No, and that's the best part. So I gotta add this in there.
Yeah.
I've been trying to put my energy into not focusing on what I don't want, but just being present for what I do want. I want a life of ease, and I'm not embarrassed to say that.
Right.
I want to like divorce this idea of grinding and struggle.
Yes.
I want a life of ease, and so this opportunity is so great because it's essentially what I already would have been doing, like as an independent contractor. So it's my schedule. I choose when I train. I choose when, you know, if I take a client or not. It's not like now you in here and you got to take it. It's like I get to choose.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is what I want. I want to attract opportunities that can respect the life that I have, the life that I want. I want to be, I mean, my first full-time job is mothering. Yeah. I want to be present for that. I don't want a job that's going to take me away from that. So that to me is like another big bonus of this, because I'm like, hey, this is what I would have been doing, but just more.
Yeah.
As far as like the quantity of clients, but it's no different. It's still on my schedule, which is, I mean, it doesn't get better than that for me.
Yes.
So, you know, I gotta be home. I gotta be available for my children, for my rest.
Yeah.
You know.
Look, you always been the one to prioritize your rest. You be like, no, I'm not feeling it today. I need to rest.
Yes. Telling you, I'm trying to live past the 100, y'all.
Yes.
I'm not gonna make it there if I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Y'all are listening to, y'all getting a sneak peek, okay? A sneak peek of true femininity, okay? And manifestation. She just said she manifested what she wants and she didn't think about what she didn't want. And I think that was really important. Yeah. You know, I think sometimes we get so caught up with the what ifs, or like, ooh, this might not happen. Like, you know,
like
that's just fear.
How am I going to stretch myself? And I've been one to always kind of spread myself thin and say that's, you know, like me just being of service, like to God's people. You know, it's like we can mask spreading ourselves, and we can mask not spreading ourselves, you know. And I feel like I was spreading myself and masking it as, oh well, I'm helping God's people, this is what he want, like as purpose. Yeah. I was masking me spreading myself thin for purpose. But now that I have 3 children, and they're just ever growing, and I've been so present for their growth, I'm seeing that they are needing more of me to give them direction, guidance at this point, but I'm also still trying to spread myself and, you know, take up space in my community. And like you said, I'm just trying to find that balance, because with me more so, I'm like, am I doing too much and not, you know, putting in my enough rest, or am I? Is that fear? You know, or is that? Or am I just saying that because I want to just not do it? You know, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. You know, sometimes I think I just get confused in where I need to be and what I need to do, and because of that, I'll just do more because I don't know. Maybe I don't want to know the answer.
Yeah.
Maybe what if it is to sit down, and me being a fire sign, that gives me anxiety. You know, that maybe you do need to just sit down and not do anything so you can really know and hear where I'm trying to direct you. So I think, I don't know, I'm still just staying busy, y'all. I haven't even stopped like trying to be there for people. I haven't stopped creating. Like I have my teas out, which has been, you know, I've been doing really well, and people have been giving me great response about, you know, the effects that they've been feeling from them. So I still want to, you know, set up my doula site because I only have one postpartum client, and I want to do more. I want to really get into the world. So I'm still nursing a teething baby. Well, she's one, so she's not smiling. She's not a baby, but I don't know yet. I'm still finding my balance, and like you said, the opportunities are ever coming. They always coming because I feel like my spirit is always saying I'm ready. But like it's the mind like that's trying to organize all these things that I said yes to, and then that becomes the confusion, and I'm like, oh, that's not good. Yeah, that's not good. So
I can relate to that. I think maybe that is a fire sign thing. Maybe we need to get an astrologist on the line one of these times. But when you were talking, it made me think about, it's the lady that I listened to, and she made a really good analogy for always being busy like that. And she was talking about business, and she was like, you know, she was in real estate game, and how she was good at this, she was good at that, she was good at this, and she had her hands in everything. She's like, and yeah, I was making money or whatever. She was like, but I was making drizzle compared to like having a flow or a stream of money. She was like, because my energy was so separated into so many different things, just compartmentalized. And she was like, it's just like if you go to the casino and this slot machine says, hey, you put $100 in here, you guaranteed to get $1 million. She's like, but instead you put $30 in here, $30 in this one, $30 in this one, $10 in this one. She's like, you'll never get to that million because you didn't focus all of your energy into that one. And it just made me think like, damn, I'm gonna have to give up something. Right. And that was that anxiety. Right. That same thing, like, I don't want to. I want to do this, and I want to do this, and I want to do this. But I think something in my spirit is just kind of telling me, like, you will, but you got to trust and have faith that you can't do it all at the same time. It's going to be moments in your life where you're going to be great at different things. And, you know, you just, like my husband always say, like, you know, you can't be a master at everything or whatever. Right. So you're going to have to pick something. And I think that's hard.
I have a good question for y'all.
Oh, Lord. Okay, go ahead.
So, okay. I mean, in the spirit of discernment, how do you choose? What things do you consider when you decide to do whatever those things are that you put your energy into? What things make you do it? Jessica, I heard you say, you know, like your people need you. So like maybe a sense of duty, or like is it just interest? Is it how it makes you feel on the inside? Is it because it's a building block for something else? So what's the motivation for all those things that you give your energy to? And I think I'm asking that because I've had to do a practice like this for myself to say, yeah, there are so many things that I feel like I could do with my energy and my time, but what is the exchange? If everything is energy, what am I getting in exchange for this? Maybe I really love to like help somebody, but am I just getting the satisfaction that I helped? And is that energizing me to go do other stuff? Maybe not. So I'm like, I'll put that on the side so that I can wait for my overflow to do that. Let me do things that actually bring me like feel good feelings, like pleasure, joy. And then I'll be feeling so good that then I'm like, oh, those people that I wanted to help, I got extra, you know, so here you go. But it, like you said, Nika, it's probably like seasonal, what you can do. It always depends on you. So I'm asking y'all, what do you consider, like when you're checking in with like why you want to do whatever it is on your plate, whether it's personal or social or professional, what do you consider?
That's a good question. And lately for a long time it's been what I assumed was God's will and what the Most High value, which is His people. So when it came to me serving His people, that was to me honoring like what the Most High was feeding me to do. And I have the energy, so I felt like, well, this is divine because I'm still homeschooling, I'm still feeding my children, I'm still making business. So it's like the divine energy is there, but I know something ain't right because I feel much confusion and unorganized at times. So, but that was like my motivating energy, was that I'm doing the will of the Most High by serving His people. So that was what was keeping me, even like breaking family curses. Like, because even in the 10 Commandments says, honor thy mother, honor thy father. So even though my mom may be resisting me or my father is just bringing me down, I still feel like that commandment or me doing what God's will is, telling me to do, I feel like that would be my reward. Right. Is the Most High just looking after me because I'm serving Him. Almost it almost says like we're being used by the Most High. Use my vessel to do your will. That's like sometimes what we pray for. So for me, I think that was always my motivating. And what I did do as I got wiser, I didn't just give it to anybody. Now I feel like I give it to my tribe sisters that I love. I give it to my team in Atlanta that I love because they done supported me. I give it to my family that I love. So now I'm a little bit more particular on who I'm gonna give it to, but it's still a lot of people.
Right. That sounds about right. I mean, it sounds like you've gotten a little bit more focused on like where your energy is going. Like, this is the tribe featuring the children. Okay, we wouldn't be who we are without these babies. So y'all gonna hear them. But it sounds like your vision hasn't changed. It's just where the energy is going has gotten a little bit more narrow. Like, so you've gotten a little bit more clarity. Right. That's what it kind of seemed like.
It's a little. But you know what? I think like what you saying that, Shanika, like, because sometimes even what I thought then, which was serving, God's people, it's still more, more into the word that maybe I can seek, more into my relationship, because maybe I'm putting more of what I think who his people is, and that could be anybody black, anybody, know, and I'm adding my own understanding to it versus like who the Most High is actually putting me to help. I'm still taking on extra people, so there is like, I think, a focus I need to put on, if that's what my motivating what motivates me to do all these things.
So it seems like this feeling of like duty through faith, because you know that what energy you put forth, you'll receive like sevenfold, or you'll receive more abundance by like planting the seed. And what you said about like just getting more focused about who exactly are these people that you're here to help. Like, one of my mentors said such a simple thing that I can never and will never forget, and I'm really grateful, is this idea, and we've talked about this before, Nika, in a different way, this idea that we, especially as women and femfolk, especially as black women, believe that we need to be for everybody. And she's like, that doesn't, like, does that even make sense? that we need to be here for everyone because we're one person, which means that, you know, that's like this martyrdom that we believe that we can even help everybody. I mean, it might sound nice and magical or whatever that you can help a lot of people, which I do think that our capacity is large, but it's not for everybody because there's you, there's me, there's all these other wonderful people who can help other people. So we don't need to be holding on to that responsibility on our shoulders. Like, I gotta be, you know, I don't know, I'm trying to think of some like historical figure. I don't know, the person who came to my mind was Jesus, but I honestly don't know a lot about Jesus. Because I wasn't raised as a Christian, but you know, I feel like people know Jesus. Like, I don't need to be this
like Christ.
Yeah, this principle.
That's what they say, right?
They do.
They say be like Christ.
Right. And I don't even know who
That's
they is. I guess like mainstream culture, but just this idea that we need to be like this next prophet or messiah for the masses. I do think that idea is kind of colonial, because colonialism tells us that we all need to conform to the same thing. But you know, you got a Mama Jessica because there are certain people that you are going to be able to help, certain people that are going to be drawn to you for your unique medicine. And I'm just like embodying that for myself, because I used to think, oh well, I need to make sure that like I use this language for these people. I need to make sure that I'm including these people and these people don't feel excluded, because I hate feeling excluded. I need to make sure that, you know, I do a little extra work for those people who can't afford to do this and that. And I'm like, wow, I'm doing a lot trying to consider everybody, but that's actually unintelligible. Like, why do I think that my one self, like basic math, basic physics, why could I help everybody? How could I?
You can't expand that far.
You can't. Like, that's not even feasible. So what you were saying, it just hit something deep in me. It was like a affirmation and confirmation of like, yeah, we do this, but I think that's a pattern that we learn, that we need to help everybody. When it's like, no, we can help who we can help, and that is good enough, you know?
Yes.
That's profound, because if you got a whole bunch of people, it's like you can only help them a little bit. Like your example with the real estate agent, you only putting a little bit into those people. Like, okay, sis, text me, call you back. But it's like, if you only working with 5 clients, you about to be able to have profound relationships with them and connect on a deep level that you actually can shift their reality with them, as opposed to just like, oh yeah, you know, here's a little sprinkle of something. Hopefully I'll catch up with you in a couple months, you know. So yeah, that just made me think about that, and I'm glad that you're able to be in that space, because I feel like we're entering it like in a similar time of like, we don't have to be for everybody all the time or ever.
And then you think of like Martin Luther King, you know, like they just had an effect over the world. And as a child, I always wanted to be that type of person, like someone that, you know, my name would
ring loud
forever and ever.
I got the same thing. You wake up thinking about greatness.
Yeah,
thinking about being
I'm supposed to be like history books.
But you know, but you know what comes to my mind when I think like that, or at least it's like what checks me, I should say, is the fact that the work has to be done, and sometimes we can't be the ones to parade what we've done. It has to be those that have been affected by us. So with that being said, that gives you the answer right there. You have to have a really profound effect on other people, because you know, the more you change their life, the more they will speak highly of you, you know? And it don't have to be, it doesn't have to be, you know, for everybody, like Mama Nika was saying. It could be just for those that, you know, you were meant to have an effect on or whatever, because in their eyes, you were somebody profound. You know what I'm saying? You will be in their history books. And I like how she said that was kind of like colonialist for us to feel that, you know. I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah, no, I didn't. I just declined the call. But anyway, I like how she said that that's kind of colonialist for us to believe that we can appeal to everybody like that, because it kind of makes me think about how we all not really gonna be on the same page. You know what I'm saying? Like, people have different ways of living, different language, different cultures. I can't appeal to some people, and maybe in my culture, what we do is this is whatever this is that we're doing is right, and maybe y'all do something that's totally opposite or whatever. It's not for me to judge. If that's y'all way of doing what y'all do, that's what y'all need to do. You know what I'm saying? And it's not up to me to try to gather everybody to be on one accord.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not powerful enough to gather everybody to be on one accord. That sounds more like control and less like, you know, people having choice. If people want to kind of unify, they will gradually to whatever just attracts them.
Right.
So you do your best and shine in the way that you need to shine, and people that are interested in what you're talking about will just naturally gravitate towards you. And like you said, it's probably your Mama Jessica someplace else halfway across the world that's having the same effect, but just maybe in a different way or whatever. Like, you know, maybe every generation it gets a little bit smaller. Or maybe you have an effect on 30 people, and maybe it's 10 of yous out there that's having an effect on 30 people, and then the next generation, you know, maybe somebody having an effect on you or whatever. Maybe eventually we all will unify, but it won't happen in the way that we're trying to do it.
Right.
You know? Yeah. So, I mean...
And I guess, like, striving for that, you know, you feel like you putting in those 10,000 hours to say that I did that, you know.
Right.
But I'm waiting for...
Where's my reward?
Where's my podium, my trophy? And so you just try to stay, like, because you know through anything that you do, you're going to come times where you don't want to do it anymore, where you get tired. So sometimes we'll say, okay, this is just a part of the process. This is a part of what it takes to be great. So it's not, you know, I don't know. You know, that's the thing I feel like I want to get more clear on, and that's what I feel like I need to focus more in on versus just still trying to just do.
Right.
If my motivation is the will of the Most High, I need to get more, you know, clear and have a stronger relation. I need to communicate more with the Most High to really see what I'm supposed to be doing, if that's truly what I'm saying my motivation is. Because it always, I feel like, can turn into an ego thing.
Yep.
Where you're
so
like...
easy. You be trying to justify it, like, the Most High want me to do this or whatever. And he might be looking like, I ain't tell you to do that. That's you. You confused.
Right.
I think that this... Excuse me. Go ask Mama Nika for some help. I think that it's... I think we could probably take lessons from, you know, Mama Nika, because she's really good at prioritizing and being to herself to listen to what the direction is.
Right.
And, you know, maybe that's that water sign. I know with us, though, we be like, go, like, burn it up. Let's just do it, you know?
Right.
Which, that's hard when you don't know where you're going. It's always about action. But what does fire do? It will burn itself out over time or whatever.
Right.
So we gotta slow down on that one.
And then I almost feel like to slow down, I need to be away.
Yes.
Like, I feel like detox me, put me in the desert, you know, and get me away, because it's hard for me not to be a nurturer or a servant to the people. Because that's how I've trained myself to be at this point, you know. And I don't know. And it's always because, you know, everybody be needing support. It's so nice for somebody to come in and sweep your floor, or, you know, wash your dishes, and I really know that makes but that's the thing, it's like you do these things and people the next day will act like you ain't never did nothing for them. So it is like a...
Right, if they're not appreciating it, like, where did that energy go?
Yeah. Right. I just... But it's like for that one moment, you know. So
this makes me think about like those like witch movies, and they always have 4 witches, and they represent the 4 elements. You got your air, you got your fire, you got your water. You know, and I feel like, you know, you have that earth, that grounded energy. We have our own unique ways of existing, and it really, like, the harmony and the balance comes through relationship. And so I think that that's why we can find that maybe there are some things that I can do more easily, but there are things that y'all can do that I like. This whole idea of thinking of yourself like Martin Luther King, like, that makes me nervous. Right. I'm like, oh my gosh, people are gonna look at me, you know. So I'm like, wow, I need more of that. I want more permission or inspiration to take up space and be in my greatness, be in my genius, without it feeling like I'm like being egotistical or asking the questions, who am I to be doing this? You know, like, I feel like you do that with ease. You know, you'd be like, flip my hair, like, watch it, you know. And I'd be like, you know, how can I just get just a little slither of that, you know? So I think that's just the beauty of relationship. You got your 4 corners, you know? Because, I mean, we can't, again, like, the same way we can't help everybody, we don't have it all and we can't do it all. And if we buy into the idea that we can, we're just going to be disappointed all the time because we can't. So that's the beauty of the tribe.
Even with, like, the faith, it says not through you but through Christ. So in Christ. So this is how they allow us to believe these things. And I maybe have, you know, fully took on that belief that maybe it's working. I do, you know. But they say, so it's not you, but it's you in Christ. So if you truly believe in Christ, then it's that spirit that will allow you to be able to do divine miracles, heal the people, you know, through the spirit of Christ. So that's where you have to proclaim Christ. You have to. You can't just say it's you. It's all about, you know, the spirit of Christ
moving
in you, right? That's allowing you to do these miracles or do these things.
Yeah, to do more than what's humanly possible.
Bingo. That's the belief or the faith. So.
See, but do they tell you, like,
Mama Nika got a lot of questions. This is new for her.
This is very new for me. Yes. But, I mean, but also I'm very familiar with just like monotheistic religious like dogma. So it's not like super foreign, but just, you know, with the same gusto that they will tell you, hey baby, that they will tell you about, you have to be Christ-like to be able to do everything. Hold on. Like, are they gonna tell you, but also you're human, so you're not this I don't know, God-like non-human figure. So when you start feeling human, because you are, what you gonna do? Like,
how do you respect your humanness?
Yeah, because I mean, everybody gonna be out here trying to be Christ, but you still a human, boo. Like, so, you know, I mean, not have goals. You know, have goals. I believe in reaching high, but also, you know, what's wrong with being human too? Like, that is who we are.
Well,
whoever they is.
Because the whole thing is like that in Matthew when Christ was on his 40 days fast and Satan was like, this, you can have this whole world if you basically trying to tempt Christ to be of this world, and Christ, you know, didn't, of course. So basically this world that we are in is of Satan. A lot of wickedness is produced from this culture, this way of living, this society. So this is the understanding that, and really when you go to like who's running this world, we go to the Catholic Church. I know, look, this is getting deep. Right. But we'll go to the Catholic Church, who, you know, basically is making the rules of how owns the banks. We've heard all these stories before, and the things that they do, child sacrifices, a lot of pedophilia, these things, they worship Satan. this is what, researchers, a lot of is coming out. So this is the world of today. Who's running the world right now? So with that, it's just like the Most High, or the understanding is to not be of this world. And how do you do that? Through Christ, who is our Savior. And with that understanding, and you have to dig deep and build your own relationship so you can understand what that will is. But basically, if you come to the commandments, he says you feel the first two, which is love the Most High with your mind, your heart, your soul, and the second is love thy neighbor as you love thyself. You basically fulfill the rest, and it's more and more. But with those two, you're doing what you're supposed to do. So that's why it got for me. Okay, serve people and, put my relationship with the Most High first. That was like, let me just do those two, because I know it's a lot, and I know I may not get it all in this lifetime, but if I'm doing those two, I'll be all right. So, yeah, I don't know what the question was about the humans, like, so.
The human part of how do you respect being human or just be human?
Because a lot of it's like all the things that we have learned, and now we having to unlearn. This is like what we were told to be humans: get a job, go to school. This is the human experience.
Is that human though?
But that's what we've been taught.
That's what we've been programmed to believe. But I think when you think about like what it means to be human, you have to almost get down to the basics, like almost animalistic.
Yeah, the primal. Because getting a job don't seem really human.
The basis of getting a job is providing for yourself, right?
Right.
But
grow your food.
There you go.
This
now we get into
human.
it.
Yeah.
Because I always look at it like this: we are spirits,
right?
Souls, light beings, whatever you want to call us,
right?
In having a human experience,
right?
Right. We've come to this realm of reality for a specific reason,
right?
What was it? And I'm sure we all probably got our own reasons on why, and to experience, what it feels like to be a human. I mean, shit, you didn't come here to be an ant,
right.
or a lizard or something.
This lifetime,
right? Right. You chose to be a human. Now, why? Or why was you sent to be a human? You know what I'm saying? And so how do you respect that? Like, I know, Shanika, you and I were talking one time, and you were talking about how you want your kids to just be happy and just to really just enjoy themselves and not be so caught up with other things that they have to do or learn and all that. Almost like you were just organically taking them from incubation on through, without any, almost like a science experiment. I incubated them, I'm gonna birth them, and I'm gonna see what happens. That's kind of what the feeling was that I kind of got from that conversation. They came here programmed already, and let me see what I could do to not mess it up. That's what it kind of felt like. And I'm like, ooh, that's kind of scary to me a little bit or whatever. Ooh, do I want to be like the scientist over that trial and error experiment?
Right.
What if I F them up by not doing something, But then you made it clear, they more natural than we are. We more tainted than they are.
Right.
We taint ourselves with food and poison and all other kind of indulgences, and they come in just pure and they do what feels good to them, which is that's their guidance. Like every other animal, they do what's programmed for them to do, and children do the same exact thing. At least most children. So
I would say left alone, most children will, because I feel like that when we talk about being human, that is what being human is. You come into the world, yes, there are a hierarchy of needs, and once you have those needs met, then you self-direct, because that information that is necessary for you to be self-directed is in your genetic code. There's no class that you have to sit your babies in to teach them how to breathe. Just put them on your chest. There's no class of teaching them how they need to feed or nurse. Put the breast in the mouth. They just take in stimuli and they move with it. You know, they experiment and explore, and then they learn, and then they're like, okay, this is something I want to keep doing because it feels good, or I don't want to do that again because that doesn't feel good. And I feel like we have lost that inner compass to be able to check in with ourselves enough to know what feels good and what doesn't. To your point, you know, I don't want to shame anybody who has prescribed to the idea of go to school, go to college, 9 to 5, save, and then die. You know, if that is what brings you joy and that is your purpose on this life, that is amazing. But I know that there are lots of people where that doesn't bring them joy and that is not their purpose in life, but they still do it.
Right.
And why? It's because we are so far away from that childlike inner compass that says, this doesn't feel good, so I'm not going to do it. We say, this doesn't feel good, but I'm just going to do it for the next 25, 35 years.
Right.
So that's why I feel so strongly. Yeah, I feel so strongly. Like, I mean, some people call it sacrifice, and I'm like, you know, this feels like martyrdom. This feels like the opposite of intelligence, you know? So, again, not to, like, throw shade or shame anyone for what they feel called to, but when I look at my children who are like the teachers that I've been craving for my whole life, they show me what being human is like, because they don't ignore their feelings. When they want to cry, they cry and they do it loud, and they don't care if I say shh, shh. They don't care, because they're like, that doesn't shift what my reality is. I'm being full and embodying what it is that I'm feeling. Right. Also, when they think something, when they're exploring thought, they're not worried about, does this sound goofy? Does this sound silly? Am I taking up space? Honey, they're taking up all the space because they come into the world knowing that that's okay. Yeah. I have learned, you better be small so that you don't get attacked, so that you don't, you know, people don't think that you're too much, or you know. So I'm like, I've learned this stuff and I don't want to pass those learnings on to my children. So I'm in a process of unlearning. I'm deschooling, I'm unschooling, and it's not just a way to talk about the way that I'm with them. It's because of them, is what the process that I'm in, because they're already, I mean, you know, they're doing it. So I don't have to be like, I'm unschooling with my kids. No, I am unschooling. Right. Because I need that and they don't. Yeah. So that's kind of like where I'm coming from with being like that. I don't know if I'll call myself a scientist, but being that person to do the experiment. Yeah. You know, I feel like we can link everything back to birth. But, you know, it's just like having a free birth. You know, people might be like, oh, you just gonna experiment with that? Right. And you go through your own deep process, your own soul work that says, I might die, my child might die, but I'm doing that inner work that says that this is worth figuring out if that will happen. And I don't really feel like that might happen, so I'm just gonna flow with it. I'm gonna go with the spirit, and I feel like that is a process that is human, that we have taken out of almost everything we do. Yeah. Because we want guarantees. We want somebody else to take responsibility. Right. And so, and we don't want people to see us as irresponsible. Right. Those doulas over there, they out there having babies on the balcony, and it's just like, you know, clearly we don't feel that way. Why? Because we're being those self-directed children who are like, this actually feels good. So if it feels good, it probably is gonna be good for me. Yeah. As opposed to the people who are like, no. Right. That's not how you do it. So, you know, in some ways we are self-directed. That's why we are here together. It's just in other areas, in our unique walks, where we are still peeling back those layers. We're still unschooling, unlearning, and I just, the kids, they teach so much. Yeah, they do.
When you sit back and just stop and just watch them. And maybe that could be our medicine, Jessica. Like, it's hard for us to just stop and, like, focus and find direction or listen or meditate for direction. Stop and just watch the babies. Don't interact. Don't give them no extra anything. Just watch what they do and how they do. And that'll tell you a lot. Like, sometimes I know Indy will be trying to do something, and I'm already trying to figure out what she's going to do before she does it, to where I interfere and mess up something, you know. But there is times where I will, you know, I won't catch her in time, which I be grateful for, because I'll step back and kind of watch her, and she figured it out without me needing, you know, without my intervention. And I think to myself, like, now what would have happened had you intervened with her? She wouldn't have got that lesson, you know what I'm saying? Or she wouldn't have figured it out her own, or maybe you wouldn't have even heard what she was trying to say because you thought you knew already. Maybe that's the ego, you know. So
I think like what you were saying about feeling irresponsible, because one would say because we're not, you know, providing a home and working and saving, for that would come off as irresponsible. So even though I know I'm raising 3 children under 5, I still feel like I have to, you know, bring in some type of income to support my family. And I don't know, that's a lot of work, you know. Because I'm good at letting my kids do what they want, figure it out. That I have no problem with. Not directing them. And they learn, they so advanced, and so I do believe in just learning from them and letting them do what they want. But I think I struggle with just fully being present and just like being there, because my mind is like, no, you have to do this, do that, to eventually pass something down to them. You know, because my mom, she accumulated 3 properties, but she's worked her whole life. So it was a reward at the end, because now she does have something to pass down to us, which maybe will break the poverty curse upon my children, you know, because that's the only way I see wealth being built is through family. Like it's been being built. Generational wealth. And ain't nobody gonna try to convince me that it's gonna come through one person.
It never will. If you gotta start over every generation, you're not gonna ever get there.
Exactly. And that's what, you know, they will teach us, because our parents are like, you know, y'all gotta get yourselves together. But I'm like, Ma, you already I need in on that. I need in on that one. I've been trying to get her together, like, Ma. I'm not supposed to do what you did. I'm supposed to just make it.
You got your role. I'm breaking the curses. You accumulate the property.
You got us to this step. You know, now it's for us to make sure we take it to the next step, because she's getting older, you know, and she's still trying to, you know, push on what she thought, you know, what she did, and she want to push that onto us. But I'm like, you know, look how much stress that caused you. Look how you wasn't able to be present with us. Look what it did. Like, you know, I get what you have now, and that's what you're like basing it off of. But if you can dig a little deeper and see like the effect it had on your children, like you, or, you know, or the effect it had on you. Like, I don't want my kids to go through the stuff I went through. So I'm not going to be pushing them out there because they told me that 18 was for you to get out your mama house, or, you know, I'm not going to do that, because I knew the effect that had on me, what I went out there trying to do on my own. And it still affects me to this day, you know, so I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, it's like, when you were talking, I was just thinking about this idea that, you know, from generation to generation, there's this wisdom, of course, that gets passed down. But, and the same argument goes for like tradition, right? It's like, yes, there was some value there, and it doesn't mean that it's always going to be valuable. So the way that your mom has done things, there's value not only to her sense of like accomplishment and security, but also for her children. But it doesn't mean that the way that she did it is as valuable to you in this generation, because the things that you are considering are different. You are centering your children. You're centering parenting consciously and intentionally, whereas maybe she put more of her energy in providing, because that's where she was in her journey in y'all's generation, in your lineage. And so she did her job. It's not that like, you know, because she didn't do what you're doing, it's like she didn't do her job. It's like she did her job, because her job was to set this foundation so that you will have a place, some roots to be able to do all of the parenting and the reparenting, the unlearning, breaking of the curses. And your children will have another job to do. Yes. They might not feel like they want to do exactly how Mama Jessica did it, because they're going to be like, thank you for doing what you did, because that is setting me up to do what I'm here to do. Exactly. And so I just think about like traditions, and I'm one of these people that's always like, yeah, get back to the old ways. Let's get back to these ways. However, I'm starting to reframe that, and really what I mean is, let's grab that wisdom that go way back, super deep, but let us build upon it, because we're not in the old days. Right. You know, we're in a new day. We're existing with new ways. So all the old ways that will actually help us, the roots, the foundation, let's get those under our feet, because now we have different work to do. So we're building on new traditions. And so that's what it sounds like, you know, with your example with your mother is, you know, I think sometimes too, like I'm also guilty of this. I think like, oh, because, you know, the generation before me, they didn't do this, so now I have to do it. Like I'm coming from this wounded place. Right. But really, I'm just getting into practice of just really honoring the fact that I'm so glad that y'all did what y'all did, because now I don't have to do that shit. Yes. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for making those mistakes. Thank you for thinking how you thought. Thank you for grinding so hard. Thank you for breaking your back. Right. Because I watched it, and I don't want that. Right. So I'm just like, that's the honor. The honor is being like, I see what you did. Right. I understand you did it for reasons. Right. Now I got my reasons why I'm not gonna do that shit. Yeah. And that's what it sounds like you're doing. Yeah. Right now.
But it's also like just trying, because, you know, her vision is still based upon her own, what she want to continue to build, as she should, because she got it, you know, to this point. But I'm trying to get her to see, you know, that we can build upon that, versus, you know, you selling everything and, you know, basically making us start from scratch again. Right. Yeah. And that's because she like, I'm going to try to do what I did. You know, it's almost like y'all got it too easy. Like she'll say that, like, y'all got it too easy. And it's like, you know, missing. I'm like, Mom, you know, ain't no other way this stuff is getting built. These white people that you see is getting, they did it off of their family and the grandparents network. Yes, it's not just gonna come from, and she gets it, but it's still like something in her that's like, no, y'all got it too easy. Y'all got it too easy.
I think that's part of their generation. My dad is the same way. He literally be like, nah, y'all, you gotta get it on your own. Like I had to get it, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like logically, it just don't even make sense. Why bring forth new life to make them start over from zero, ground zero? That's like what they call the definition of insanity. The definition of insanity, doing the same thing over, expecting a different result. If every time you birth new life, you rebirthing yourself. You're rebirthing your future self. You know, you can't live forever. The only way you can live forever is through your children. And so you gonna birth again to have them do it all over again? But that doesn't make sense. We supposed to stand on, they supposed to stand on our shoulders. Yes. Stand on our shoulders, not have to dig themselves out of a hole that we was put in. Right. You know what I'm saying? And you like, yeah, I birthed you in this hole, and you got to dig yourself out too.
And they feel that that builds strength, or that builds
character, or like
it's like they're getting you ready for this world that they've had to navigate. Right. And so it seems like it's coming from a place of care and love. Right. Even though it doesn't feel that way. Right. But this is what they believe. And so this is where I feel like things start to shift, because I really think that's a symptom of you know, having a lineage of people who've been like displaced and enslaved. Yes. Because you're always starting over, because everything was taken from you, and it's bred into you to believe that, you know, there is no such thing as, you know, building upon this, because it's taken from us every time we create. So that's still in the psyche, that's still in the lineage. And so now we're taking stock and we're acknowledging, like, you know, I don't prescribe to the ideas that you prescribe to, because I don't think that we are really interested in preparing our children for the world that they grew up in, because that was the world they grew up in.
Right.
You know, there are some vestiges of it that we're kind of operating within, but we are that shedding generation. We're shedding that because we're in between worlds. So when I parent my children, I'm not thinking about the stuff that my grandmother taught me, because that's several generations removed.
Right.
I'm thinking about the world that's going to exist when I'm not even here.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why would I teach you all of these things to navigate a world that you are not actually going to be living in? We're creating, like, at every step, we're evolving, we're creating anew. And I think we forget about that because we still are so in touch with that pain and that.
Where's the waffle?
I don't know where the waffle is, babe.
Nature.
You know, we're just still so in touch with that pain that tells us that whatever we do is gonna be ripped away. So we're trying to teach our children how to build from scratch every single time, because that's what we know. Where it's like, now, you know what? You know, maybe we can just jump off grid and we can homestead and we can, you know, we can figure out ways where we can build for our children, you know, that has nothing to do with the ways, like the industrial age that, you know, our grandparents or our parents kind of came up in.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of like plants in a way. So every time a plant has a life cycle, and at the end of their cycle, it goes to seed, which is just basically saying, hey, I'm at the end of my cycle, I'm gonna drop, you know, my genetic code off. And if it thrives, it thrives, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And, you know, so you drop it drops wherever it was planted, and or sometimes the wind pick it up and blow it, or the water might move it someplace else or whatever, or, you know, and then it's reborn again, and
it's bigger.
It's bigger, or it's better, or maybe the genetic code got mixed with something else or whatever, and it's more hybrid now or whatever. It naturally is a hybrid because the environment changed and it adapted.
Yes.
And I think that is kind of how we are, or at least how we should be. Instead of being like, hey, you know, we need to be you know, the traditional plant. We need to go back to, you know, what our 5-time generational grandmother was or whatever, and get back to that because that was strong. Yeah, that probably was strong or whatever because it was original, but I mean, what's your definition of strong? Like, when I think of strength, I think of withstanding something, you know, and the strength that you needed for that world is going to be totally different than what you need for this upcoming world.
Yes.
So yeah, y'all got a lot of foresight. I don't know if I have all that foresight.
You know what, Nika? You told me we were having a conversation. You know, one of the ones we have where you know we talk about 700 things,
right?
You said something that I haven't forgotten, which is a quote that you read that says, it's not the person who like is the strongest or the smartest that will survive. It's the person who is the most adaptable. That has sat within me, like sunk into my cells because I was like, yes, that is why I'm driven in the way that I am, because we learn that we need to be this smart, or we need to know this amount of things, or we need to accumulate this amount of money or credentials, or these things somehow will situate us to be successful or survive in this life. We prescribe to it. But the truth of the matter is, and I feel like COVID was a blessing.
Yes.
It was a blessing to humanity because, you know, whether people believe that it exists or not, what its presence in our life has given us is this idea that all of those people who are used to being able to buy their safety, no amount of money is going to buy your safety here. Because when you took your ass into Whole Foods thinking you were going to be able to stock up on some essentials, but all of that shit was off the shelf, it didn't matter if you had extra money. You know, I had a client who told me that she went on vacation with her family to their vacation home, and she wanted to be seen by an OB that was there, and she asked, can I still be seen? Like, my OB is back in Chicago, and they were like, only if you have a mask. Things were fresh. You couldn't get a mask at the gas station, or you couldn't just go on Amazon and wait 2 days to get a mask. There were no masks.
I remember that.
All of the medical supply places, no masks. And so she was thinking, I have money, like, I'll just, put it on my bill. They were like, we only have a limited amount of masks, so if you don't have your own mask, you will not be seen. And she was like, that was humbling, because I was used to being able to afford whatever I needed. And then this pandemic comes, and it's like, your money not gonna save you. How intelligent you think you are is not gonna save you. It's about, can you adapt? Are you gonna be able to adapt to what the realities are? So that has set with me. So you say we have the foresight, but clearly that quote jumped out for you, and you saved it in you, and you told me, and it's been in me, and I'm like, that's wisdom. That's what evolution is,
Definitely. And now we're telling y'all. So, well, this was a very deep variety. Y'all just got a whole smorgasbord of
organic, baby.
Yeah, right.
No GMO.
Of conversation. I mean, and I would like to continue these types of
episode 1.
Right, episode 1.
We're like this, stay tuned.
Right, if you like this, stay tuned. We'll try to reach out and see what other kind of topics we can discuss and talk about. But thanks for checking in with us, y'all, and we'll hit y'all up next time.
Be well.